$100,000 has just been deposited in your checking account. It's an inheritance from somebody that you love. How do you feel at this moment looking at this whopper of an account balance? Are you excited? Are you relieved? Are you scared out of your mind?
Yeah.
Maybe you're grateful. How are you feeling right now?
I know. And why do you feel that way? So interesting how inheritance money affects people so differently. But really, the next question is more important. What are you going to do with that money?
In this video, we're going to look at what is the best thing to do with your inheritance of $100,000. Well, first, maybe let's take a look at what Americans have been doing when they receive that kind of money. I put up this chart. You can take a look at it. This came from a recent survey, how Americans would spend an inheritance. The focus here, what most people are doing is they're spending the money. They're spending the money on purchasing a home or paying off the home. They're spending the money on their previous consumption, which is why they got credit card debt, okay? And they're spending the money on a new indulgence and spending on themselves in the present. So what's missing from this list of spending? Where the heck is the investing, okay? What are they doing to take that money and put it into assets? What we want to do is encourage you to prioritize wealth, to prioritize growing assets over reducing your liabilities. And really, that reminds me of the biblical story of Elisha and the widow with the oil. If you go read that story, take a minute. It's like 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. And the widow comes to the prophet Elisha, and she's all concerned because her dead husband had debt, and the person she owes the money to is coming to take her sons to pay off the debt. So she's like freaking out, as you can well imagine, right? And Elisha says, well, what have you got? And her asset, what she had was some oil. Not a lot either, just a little bit of oil, like a very small amount of oil. And Elisha said, okay, borrow more. He tells her to go borrow more by borrowing as many jars, containers, as she possibly could from everybody else in the village, the community, okay? And then the miracle happens.
So she does, and not just a few, get a
As
bunch.
many as you can, right?
And she does.
And she does.
And she begins filling the jars
Right.
with the oil.
And so once all the jars are full with oil, the oil stops reproducing.
Yeah.
It stops flowing, right? So then she goes back to the prophet and he says, okay, take what you have now, this oil, and sell it so you can pay off your debt and live on what's left over. So here's the lesson for us. Take your asset and multiply it first before you pay off the debt.
And you have one.
Yeah. But this is mind-blowing, right? Take the assets and multiply them first before you pay off the debt. And you'll see how this plays out as we go through this today. But it's a completely different paradigm, completely different mindset. Next, I want you to look at your inheritance money, this $100,000, as asset seeds, okay? Instead of oil, these are seeds now, okay? So what can you plant for a future harvest? How can you take these asset seeds and multiply them before you pay off the debt? Your inheritance asset can be the seed capital that you need to fund the purchase of an existing cash flowing business or to create a new business. Your seed capital, once planted, nurtured, and given enough time to mature, can grow into an enormous harvest. Now, there's 3 laws to the harvest. I just want to cover them really quick. Number 1.
You reap what you sow.
Yeah, you do. Right? If you plant apple seeds, you are not going to grow pineapples. Right? It's in kind. You're going to reap in kind what you sowed.
Right.
Number 2.
Reap more than what you sowed.
That's right. If I plant 1 apple seed, I'm going to get a tree that produces a whole bunch of apples. So I'm getting more of what I sowed, right? And number 3.
Reaping later what you sowed.
That's right. So you've got to be patient and disciplined because it's not in the same season that you plant.
Right.
You're always going to harvest in a later season than the one you planted in. If I grow vegetables I'm going to get vegetables in a few months. I can count on it. So your inheritance money is just like these asset seeds. And you got to determine what kind of crop do you want to harvest and how long can you wait for it. So the vegetable seeds are going to be quick, right? Plant in the spring, harvest in the fall. But what about fruit trees? What if you plant apple seeds? Okay, those are going to take you about 5 years before that apple tree is mature enough to start producing apples. Now, this is what's amazing though, okay? If you have the patience and the discipline and the forethought and the time, you plant one time. You can plant an orchard one time, and then in 5 years, you can start harvesting all these apples. And you know what happens? They keep coming year after year after year after year for decades. You're going to harvest apples for decades from one orchard that you planted one time.
Right.
That's completely different than a vegetable garden. You got to go plant every year. So maybe you do both. Maybe there's a combination here. I'm going to plant some vegetable seeds because I need food to eat right this year,
Right.
but I'm also going to plant apple trees because I don't want to keep planting every year. The apple seeds really are a great analogy for me of financial freedom. Every year I'm going to have more apples. All I got to do is prune those trees every year. I just got to maintain and care for those trees. That's financial freedom. You can sell the apples right off the tree, or you can turn those apples into value added products and make even more money, right? Imagine you make apple pies, you can make apple cakes, you can make apple cookies, you can make apple bars, you can make apple crisp,
Strudel.
apple strudel, like your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Up in heaven. Mom's apple strudel was amazing. You can make apple turnovers. You can have apple fritters. You can have apple slices with caramel sauce. I mean, it's almost, your imagination, it's almost limitless what you can do with the apples. But look at your inheritance as those apple seeds that you want to multiply before you spend that money.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. Most people aren't going to tell you this.
Right.
Most of the gurus tell you right away to pay off your debt and put some money in your emergency fund. I mean, those are all good things, but they're not focused on the most important thing, which is assets that can produce cash flow so you can be financially free. That's what we got to focus on. If you focus on paying off all of your debt first, what have you done? You are at zero. You have no seeds. If you sell all your seeds so that you can pay off your debt, how do you grow an orchard?
Okay.
You can't. You have to go back into debt. We got to be smart about this and intentional about this and find some kind of balance. The rich people, the wealthy people, they do what Elisha told the widow to do. Go multiply the money you have first before you pay off your debt.
Right.
Take the asset and multiply it before you pay off the debt, or take the asset and multiply it so that you can go buy more assets and multiply it. It's important you understand there is a real risk to receiving an inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the person that wins the lottery,
Right.
right? Everybody comes out of the woodwork. They all are asking them for money. They party, they spend money on all this crazy stuff. And then in 3 to 5 years, they're broke or bankrupt or worse. Some of them are dead because they didn't know how to handle that much money. And, I spoke with a gentleman a couple of weeks ago that had received $83,000, I think it was. It was nearly $100,000 as an inheritance. And it had been several years that he had this money. And it's killing him because he's so fearful. He doesn't know what to do with the money. He doesn't have a financial education. He's not confident. He doesn't know what to do. And so he's gripped with fear and he's doing nothing. Like, how awful is that existence, right? And one study actually reported that more than a third of all inheritors saw no change or they saw a decline in their wealth after getting an inheritance.
Wow.
That's right. Some people are actually worse off a few years after receiving an inheritance than they were before they got the inheritance. So you get $100,000. We want to have this mindset about seed capital, about multiplying our money first, about growing assets, okay? So here's what I would suggest as a few steps, maybe 9 steps here to help you out. First, just pause, just take some time, relax, open a new account, a high yield savings account or a money market account, and put your inheritance there so that it's earning as much interest as possible, but it remains completely liquid. But we want it completely separate from all your other money,
Right.
so that it doesn't get commingled and you don't spend it on accident, okay? 2, reflect on the person who gave you the money. What do you think they gave it to you for? What was their purpose? What would they want you to do with it, okay? Take some time to think about it and be grateful. What can you learn from them? What did they do to accumulate all this money that they could even give it to you? Like, there's stuff to learn here. 3, really get clarity on your own personal financial goals, your own financial freedom goals, or your retirement goals. How much money do you want to live on that you don't have to work for every day, right? Instead of active income, we're talking about passive and recurring income. What is that for you? So you can achieve financial freedom faster, so you can enjoy it longer. Number 4, give. Right?
Secret to living is giving.
That's right. So be sure and give some money away. If nothing else, what it does is it makes you the master of your money instead of your money mastering you.
Right.
Right? That's so important. Then save some.
Right.
We're going to give some, we're going to save some. Savings are short term. That is your peace of mind account, possibly your opportunity fund, right? But we want to give some and then save some. Number 6, invest some. This is the long-term focus, okay? These are the long-term assets that we're going to have for financial freedom and for retirement. Then number 7, you can spend some, okay? Now spending, remember, could be you already spent it and it's on your credit card, so you're going to pay off some credit card balances, or you're going to spend some now in the present on some fun, adventure, excitement, indulgence, whatever. But you can do that too. So give some, save some, invest some, and spend some, right? Now, the best investments that you can make are the ones in yourself. And I really want to encourage you with, we've got a new financial coaching program. We've got one-on-one financial coaching options. Invest some money in your financial education in yourself so that you can improve your mindset and your skill set and your tool set. Because if you do that, you'll get more assets, okay? And those assets can produce cash flow, and that gives you financial freedom. And then lastly, point number 9 is I want you to really consider what asset classes you know the best and love the most or most passionate about. Wall Street's got everybody pegged into stocks, bonds, and cash, and maybe a little bit of real estate in a REIT. Well, the world is much bigger than that, okay? So you got to think beyond Wall Street and Main Street and look at what your options are. Maybe, what we do know is that the wealthiest people are wealthy because they built a business. So that's the best asset class. The next one are real estate. There's so many people that are millionaires because of real estate. So business is 1, asset or real estate are 2. 3, I like, is trading options. And here's why. Those 3 asset classes give you cash flow, leverage, and appreciation. Those are the 3 things you got to have for accumulating wealth. But there's other stocks on the public stock exchanges, bonds, cash, but there's gold and silver, there's cash value life insurance, there's annuities, there's T-bills and notes, there's private money lending, commodities, currency, crypto. There's a whole bunch of asset classes. So what are you most passionate about? What do you know about, or what are you willing to invest in, to learn about, so that you can be a better manager, right? And then, of course, there's all kinds of alternative investments. Wine. You know, you can invest in wine. I thought you would like that one. Artwork, watches, life settlements, there's all kinds of stuff. But your inheritance has the potential to change your family tree forever. Perhaps a magnificent fruit tree. So make this count. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you, and we can be your money coaches. See if you qualify for financial coaching with us. But We can help you make the best decision for you, not be gripped by fear, not screw this up and be broke in 3 to 5 years from now like so many others do, and not miss out on this opportunity to really build wealth and change your family tree, really your dynasty. But in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you on the next video.